All right. Can't believe I'm doing this one more time. So here we go again. All right. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Alvin Podcast. And today I will be explaining, or I will be giving a review regarding Gentry Chau versus the Underworld. I just binge watched the entire series within like at least 5 or 6 hours, and I decided to give some thought on it. And actually, I've already made a video of this one. However, I am planning to delete the first one that I made because I realized the words that I've been trying to say throughout the video felt out of place. I keep on sorry. I was about to talk about Gentry as a person, and then all of a sudden, I was talking about the story, and then the characters, and then the story, and all that kind of jazz. So it felt random. So I decided to go start a new one and rely on the notes that I have made, or in short, the full review that I have made regarding Gentry Chow versus the Underworld. So let me start off first with my intro. As a cartoon lover, this show is definitely on my radar. After Netflix pulled off an amazing second and final season of Arcane, and with the final season of The Dragon Prince coming before Christmas, I thought, why not give this show a watch? If anything, Gentry Chow versus the Underworld is not getting that much attention even before its release, and it needs to because this series is absolutely good. I was expecting this to at least be decent, but it didn't need to go that far and entertain me so much. And I will stand by that because judging from the animation, and I know it's unfair because it's normal, or should I say it's something that I don't want to practice, but it's something that's unavoidable. Like just like judging from the look of the animation and this character design, you would say, the show may not necessarily be for me. But I decided to give it a go because again, I'm a cartoon lover and I'm an animation lover, whether it's cartoons or animation or anime in general. I am definitely going to look forward to those kinds of shows. And yeah, Gentry Chow was definitely under the radar for most people. It wasn't that much talked about when the first trailer. I remember the first trailer was released, but it wasn't like trending. It wasn't like talked about. Well, it would be very unfair to compare to Arcane and compare to the Dragon Prince because those were well established series and not Gentry Chow versus the Underworld. And so, yeah, just to say right off the bat, I thought the show was good. I was expecting it to at least be a decent or an okay show, but I got more than what I got. For starters, Gentry Chow is a solid protagonist. She reminds me of May from Turning Red, in which a curse has been brought down upon her, which is firepower. And now it's up to her on how she would be able to master them by not only fighting off evil creatures from the other side, but also trying her best to live a very normal high school life, which is something that it's a very simple formula, but it does for again, people like me, no matter how generic, no matter how many tropes that a specific cartoon has used, so long as it works, so long as it affects me to the core, I'm all right with that. Like you can give me the same kind of story, the same, not necessarily the 100%, but more like the similar storyline, the same feel of characters where you're like, hey, I remember this character. It reminds me of this character. Hey, this show reminds me of this other show, which we will get into a second. You know, I really did bought her personality as a character. She's not one dimensional. You can see her being very badass, but at the same time you can see her soft side whenever she is trying to control her powers in the first place and how she tries to interact with other people just so that she tries to not let her but also not trying to let her emotions loose because we all know it's kind of like Mob Psycho 100 all over again. Whereas like if the emotions like lose control, the emotions will definitely be the ones handling those powers, or should I say, you're going to be out of control if Gentry if you let your emotions loose. In this case, it's kind of like that. I did really love her as a character. When she is at her emotional low, I really rooted for her. When she's trying to uncover her past, when she's trying to figure out how she's going to live a normal life, how she can try to maintain like socialization with her friends, like with her first friend and even Kit and Michael, which we will also get into a second. And whenever she tries to master her powers, and again, when she becomes really badass, I thought that was really, really amazing on her. The characters that assist her, Ed and Gugu, were also great. I also love these characters. They weren't one-dimensional character. It wasn't just one specific personality and that's it. Like with Ed, I was kind of annoyed with him at first, which by the way reminds me of Mr. Mixipix. I don't know how you pronounce that name, but that specific character from My Adventures with Superman. I don't know. For some reason, it gave me that vibe, and I was just like yelling with, and I was literally like, I'm with it. I'm liking this character. Just just to say it simply. He was annoying at first, but as the show went on, I really did bought the friendship that he and Gentry had with one another, especially when they were trying to beat the bad guys. Gugu, on the other hand, was a really interesting character. As an aunt, I can definitely see her trying to protect Gentry from something, from the bad things, but at the same time, I also feel like, is she actually hiding something, or is she really just a overprotective aunt? And you can definitely see it, and the fact that it makes you question: is she really a good guy, or is she really a bad guy? Is she selfish, or is she selfless towards Gentry? Again, I thought that was she it just goes to show us how much of a complex character she is. And I thought that was really freaking cool. The love interests, Keith and Michael, were good enough. They're not bad. They weren't just okay characters. I thought they were good enough. I really did like it when they were on screen. And the fact that it surrounds Gentry, we had this love triangle thing. But it's not like the whole miraculous ladybug. It's not like that what is the other show, Star versus the Force of Evil kind of thing. The show is very much straight to the point as to who Gentry is going to end up, you know. And again, the tropes, you may see it might seem obvious to some people, but again, because I like the character, the formula doesn't really matter to me at all. I bought Michael as a character and who cares about Gentry a lot, especially when something bad happens to her. Same goes with Kit, who was, in my opinion, as much as I like Michael, Kit was a really interesting character because of his dual side. I'll just leave it at that. And what I love about it is that these two characters are also having a problem in figuring out who they want to be. And the fact that Gentry, who also has that problem, gave that advice to Keith and Michael in figuring out who they want to be and what defines themselves. It kind of reminds me of the whole My Adventure with Superman. I know I'm bringing up My Adventure with Superman a lot, but it just sounds so similar. Like the one where what how do I say that? The one where Jimmy Olsen was giving advice to Kara and even Lex Luthor, and you can definitely see other one is going up, the other one's going down. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything when it comes to those two characters, but I thought they were good. The romance, it was still good. It was still good. I wish they could. I mean, they kind of hit it off already by the last couple of episodes, and it was clear who it was. I wish the journey was more was I wish the arc was more developed. I wish that romantic subplot, unless of course that wasn't the main focus, which might be. So if you care about that, that might hinder you. But in my opinion, since that is not much the attention or the focus of the show, it's more about Gentry herself as a character. Then there's that. So the biggest or the major flaw that I noticed from this show, from what I saw, is that the show had a rough first episode. I think that is probably the only flaw. Everything else though was all right. The reason why it had a rough first episode because it was trying to set a lot of things up. We were in Seoul, and then they were trying to set up the thing. Oh, something's chasing after Gentry, and then all of a sudden, Gentry was asked by Gugu to come back in order to face her past and to figure out how to control her powers. And then she had this first encounter with a demon and all that. And then all of a sudden she was able to control her power. It felt so quick. I would understand if it was a shonen, even though it wasn't. Speaking of shonen, we are definitely going to get into the whole anime side of things. But yeah, So yeah, the whole thing, like the introduction of Gugu and the introduction of Ed, it felt so fast. But as the show went on, specifically in episodes 2 to 5, I think it already found its footing. Like the pacing was consistent, the story was more straightforward compared to the one that had in and compared to the first episode that had a lot of things going. The next couple of episodes, each episode had like a goal or a plot where it is progressing to. Not many things that are happening to get to the end of a particular episode. So yeah, but the highs for me were definitely 6 to 10 because I was grading them. Like first episode was like a B minus, episode 2 to 5. They all felt like a B plus because again they were consistent. See, episode 6 to 10 were all A minus for me because this is where things got serious. When the show got serious, it is definitely serious with it, you know? It doesn't really hold back at all. It definitely let the emotions run through you. And it was consistent. Again, pacing was consistent. I thought that was already the end. However, we get some more scenes by the end of the episode. And so we get to episode 11 to 13. I thought it would have ended with episode 10. However, 11 to 13 felt actually necessary for Gentry's growth as a character in figuring out who she really is as a person and how she is coming to terms with with the kind of life she wants to live in. And I thought that was really interesting. And I thought that was episode 11 to 13, well, most especially the last episode, kind of wrapped everything up in a bow. And I thought that was a really satisfying story because usually we get a story or we get one season show that kind of like, yeah, there's more. There's a lot more to come, like with Inside Job or even the Midnight Gospel. But this one feels like a one season show. And which by the way, let me get to the references, you know? Like don't get me started by the way when it comes to the references because not only it gave up Star versus Force of Evil vibes, which it definitely do. And like I said, it reminded me of like Turning Red. So yeah. It also had a lot of anime references, like specifically Naruto. Like there were certain characters in the show from Naruto that was explicitly mentioned when with an interaction between Gentry and Kit. I thought that was pretty cool. And even certain episodes like the couple of episodes with 11 and 12, I believe, they felt a lot like Jujutsu Kaisen and even Parasite the Maxim, like the whole hand changing thing, like wheeling it into a weapon. That was freaking awesome. And it also had some K-pop vibes, which is, I mean, if you like K-pop, you're probably gonna like it. They mentioned NCT 127. Oh, which by the way, speaking of K-pop, they made like Cat's Eye Flame being used as like like the theme song of the show, and almost every episode has like a song that is boosting up the action sequences and even emotional sequences. I thought that was actually pretty cool, you know? And for shows aimed at 10 years old and above, like I said, the show did not hold back with its violence. Literally, characters were being stabbed to the chest, and guys or characters being eaten by monsters. The stakes were high, and there were definitely some consequences to it. Again, the last thing that the one thing that I would like the show to do for me is to surprise me. And boy, did it surprise me. So, yeah, Gentry Chau versus the Underworld. It's definitely a good watch, you know? Is it one of the best? I'll say I would go as far as to say that this is one of the best and because it was a surprise for me for this year. In terms of best animated series of the year, we have Arcane season 2, we had The Legend of Boss Machina season 3, My Adventure with Superman season 2, Smiling Friends season 2. There's a lot of season 2s by the way. Star Trek final what do you call it? Star Trek Lower Decks final season. Star Wars The Bad Batch. We had the Dragon Prince season 6, which by the way, season 7 is gonna come around, and I'm definitely seeing how they're going to conclude the story for now, because I've heard that there was like going to be more episodes or more season if ever it was given another season renewal. But yeah, overall, guys, Gentry Chau versus the Underworld surprised me. It gave me a lot than what I have expected. It definitely exceeded my expectations. And I hope for those who are a big fan of cartoons or who want to watch a cartoon, for those who like those kind of shows like Kim Possible, Star versus Force of Evil, and all that, I think this is a show that is definitely worth a watch. Would I be happy if there would be a season two? While I am satisfied, extremely satisfied with how the show concluded. I will say if they're gonna make a season two, if Netflix decided to give the show another go, I'm definitely on their wavelength. So that's it for my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down as to what did you think about Gentry Child versus the Underworld. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.